For the first time ever, I analyzed my 2025 full year spending. And let me be honest, it wasn't a fun exercise, but it was so revealing. The good thing is, this exercise wasn't difficult for me. And this is because every month, I track every single expense. My bank accounts and my expense tracker mirror each other. So pulling together a full year view didn't require downloading my bank statement again. Before I go into insights from running my own annual numbers, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your bank statement at the end of the month and thought, where did it all go? Where did my money go? If yes, you need to start tracking your expenses. You will quickly realize that what we say we value and what we actually spend money on sometimes don't speak to each other. You will also realize that it's not the obvious expenses that drain us. It's the small things, those small things that we have normalized paying for. Those are the things that drain us. And this reminds me of that quote from Benjamin Franklin that says, beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a ship. Honestly, that was my biggest takeaway from my own personal, annual financial review. So let's get to my 7 spending insights from the review of my 2025 expenses. Number 1, even good intentions can become excessive. Oh, blimey. I did not realize how much I was spending on books until I saw the numbers. You see, I love books, but the truth is I'm not reading as much as I used to. My time now is pulled in many directions. Is it I'm cooking soup? Or I'm working in the community, or I'm doing YouTube, or but I kept buying books. The problem also is that my card is linked to Amazon. So a few clicks, the book is at my door. And this is what behavioral economists call frictionless spending. When buying becomes too easy for you, such that you do not even have time to ask yourself, do I really need it? Would I have time to read it? This year, I have decided to create some frictions by removing my card details and entering it every time I want to buy something on Amazon. I think that will give me some time to think about, have you read all the ones you bought? And I realized late last year also that some things are even cheaper in Tesco than on Amazon. I was unpleasantly surprised when I saw this. So anyways, this year, I set a rule for myself not to buy any new book until I finish the ones I already own. I just don't want, to have expensive book decorations. I want to read them because that's why I'm buying them. My second insight is that my money is aligned with my values. One thing that made me genuinely happy was seeing the percentage of my income that went into my charity projects. This is intentional giving and it truly reflects what matters to me. Before now, I didn't have a structure around this, but putting one in place and sticking to it has really been, for me, a smart move, and it's really reassuring that I'm able to do what I really, really connect with. So my advice is set a percentage for giving. It's important that your spending aligns with what matters to you. I've seen people dedicate their resources to food projects while others, sponsor the education of less privileged. Whatever course you choose, do it within your means and put a structure around it. Okay, so now my third insight is around my business investments. The move from dependency to part independence was beautiful to see. Since we started the World Cutters community, I've been investing my personal money into it. For more than half of 2025 even, I was still funding the business, personally. And I'm glad I did, don't get me wrong, But what really stood out for me during the review was a major milestone. The business can now cover some of its own expenses. That's huge. It's basically the difference between a hobby that costs you money and a project or an asset that sustains itself. Will it still need some funding? Absolutely. But for now, it's covering the smaller expenses, and that feels really good. Okay, so number 4. This is my consistency in savings and investing. Over 30% of my income went into savings and investing. And this is outside my business investments anyways. And this is something I am genuinely excited about. Not because it was easy, and definitely not because every month was perfect, but because the structure that I put in place didn't crumble. Of course, life happened. Life will always happen. Expenses will always come up. Some months will be tighter than others, but I'm glad that the system held. For me, that's the real win. And this is what people often misunderstand about savings and investing. It's not about motivation. It's not about I'll do it when I feel like. It's about putting a structure in place, putting a system in place. There is a quote that says you do not not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If you don't have a system in place, nothing is going to happen. So what would I advise? Start with a percentage that feels realistic, that feels comfortable for you at this time. Automate it so that the money moves, before you get the chance to spend it. And don't worry, even if some months are not perfect, what I always say is that consistency beats once in a while all the time. My number 5 insight from my annual financial review is the commitment I made to my children's investment. I love how automated that is. It leaves my account quietly every single month and builds up in their junior ISA account. My 10-year-old, jokingly asked me to withdraw it and give it to him. After all, it's his money because he's seeing his name on the dashboard, so it's his money. I said, they play. They play. And this is why I like junior ISA. For those who don't know, a junior ISA in the UK is a long-term investment account set up for your child. The money belongs to them, but it's locked away until they are 18. And I think that's the key point for me. It removes emotions, it removes the temptation, and it removes, that short-term thinking from the whole equation. And I think this is good because it lets time do the heavy lifting on your investments. When money has, 10 years, 15 years, 18 years to grow, even if it is just small contributions, it can turn into something very meaningful with the power of what we call compounding. Your money just keeps growing in the background. And I always say that this doesn't have to be any huge amount. Don't get, fixated on the amount at this point. It's all about consistency. Even modest monthly contributions can make a real difference over time. So don't overthink it. And I also see this as an opportunity to teach my sons about investing. It opens up conversations around money, around delayed gratification, around patience, around real wealth. My children already know that this money exists, but they also understand that it's not for now. So my advice to parents listening to this is, if you're able to, consider a junior ISA. Start small, automate it. Let time do what it does best. And remember, you're not just investing money for them. You're not just putting money away for them. You're also buying some flexibility for them in the future. And you're giving them a better head start in life. So now, before I go on to the last one, if you would like my simple monthly income and expense tracker that I use to monitor my money like Mrs. Maple, comment tracker below and I will show this to you. This tracker will show you where your money goes on a monthly basis, and you also get to direct it, to where you want it to go. Nothing is happening by chance. Lastly, and this one is on a lighter note, this exercise revealed to me the most expensive child in my house. And this is totally different from what I thought it was. And this is just for me, not combined household. Mommy I want, mommy I need. And we joked about this. And they were all turning on each other. But you bought guitar for Kenny. Yeah, but that was 2024, not 2025. It was just so fun, So please run this exercise. You need to run this exercise and take decisions on what you need to stop, what you need to pause, and what you need to continue. At the end of the day, cutting these things out is not about restricting yourself. It's about alignment. It's about making sure your money is going where you actually want it to go. It's going where it actually matters. If you love this video, you will love my video on what you can do if you've got £1,000 sitting in your bank account to grow it. And I'll see you there.